Have you ever stepped out of the shower, put on clean clothes, and still felt like something wasn't quite right? Not dirty, not unclean, just off. Like your body was carrying a scent you couldn't quite name, and no matter what you did, it wouldn't fully go away. Maybe it was a quiet moment alone in your bathroom. Maybe it was someone's innocent comment that stayed with you longer than it should have. Maybe it was nothing more than a feeling, a whisper from somewhere deep inside that said, something has changed. If you've ever felt that even once, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not imagining it, and you are not alone. Millions of women over the age of 55 experience this exact shift, a subtle but very real change in how their body smells, even when they are doing everything they believe is right. They shower every single day. They use good soap. They wear clean clothes. They really try, and yet something still feels off. And most of them never talk about it because honestly, who do you even say this to? It feels too personal, too embarrassing, too quiet for a regular conversation. But here's what I want you to understand before we go any further. This is not about being dirty. It is not about being careless. And it is absolutely not something you simply have to accept as a part of getting older. What it is about is biology. It is about how our bodies change as we age, and how some of the habits we've trusted our entire lives quietly stop working the way they used to. Sometimes, the very things we do to stay clean are the things making things worse, and we don't even realize it. Today, we're going to talk about 15 bathroom habits that doctors say can contribute to unwanted odor in women over 55. Not to shame you, not to lecture you, but to give you real, honest, gentle answers. The kind your doctor might not have time to explain. The kind your mother never knew to tell you. The kind that can genuinely change how you feel in your own body every single day. And I promise you this, every single solution we discuss today is simple. Nothing expensive, nothing complicated. Just small, meaningful shifts that can make a world of difference. So if you've ever stood in front of a mirror and wondered, is this just what getting older smells like? Stay with me. Because the answer is no. And by the end of this video, you are going to feel more informed, more empowered, and more at peace with your body than you have in a very long time. Before we begin, if this is already speaking to something you felt, go ahead and comment the number 1 below. Just a 1. It's a quiet little way of saying, yes, I'm here, and I needed this today. And it helps me know I'm creating content that actually matters to real women like you. Let's begin. Her name was Margaret. She was 67 years old, and by every measure, she was a woman who had her life beautifully together. Her home was warm and welcoming. Her grandchildren adored her. Her garden was the envy of the entire street. But for the past year or so, Margaret had been carrying a quiet worry she hadn't shared with anyone. It started one afternoon when she was helping her youngest granddaughter get ready for a school play. The little girl, completely innocent, completely unaware of the weight her words would carry, looked up at her grandmother and said, "Grandma, why do you smell like old towels?" Margaret laughed it off in the moment, smiled, gave a little wave of her hand, moved on. But that night, alone in her bathroom, she pressed her face into her sleeve and breathed in slowly, and something in her chest went very still. She had noticed it before, of course. That faint, musty, slightly sour scent that seemed to follow her no matter how thoroughly she cleaned herself. She had tried switching soaps. She had tried stronger deodorant. She had tried washing her clothes more frequently. But the scent remained low and persistent, like a shadow she couldn't shake. What Margaret didn't know, what so many women in her position don't know, is that the answer had almost nothing to do with how often she was cleaning. It had everything to do with how she was cleaning, and a handful of small daily habits that were quietly working against her without her ever realizing it. And that is exactly what we are here to talk about today. As women age, particularly after menopause, our bodies go through a series of changes that directly affect how we smell. Estrogen levels drop significantly, and this affects everything: the way our sweat glands behave, the way our skin produces and processes natural oils, the way bacteria interact with our body's surface. Our skin becomes thinner and more fragile, which means bacteria can linger more easily in its folds and creases. Natural cell turnover slows down considerably, meaning dead skin cells don't shed as quickly as they once did, and they accumulate silently in places we often overlook. None of this is your fault. None of this is a reflection of your cleanliness or your care. It is simply biology, a natural evolution of the body that requires a gentle, informed response. Not more scrubbing, not harsher products, not shame, just knowledge, and the willingness to adjust. So let's walk through each habit, one by one, with honesty and care. The first habit is one that surprises almost every woman who hears it. It is the habit of overwashing the intimate area with soap and scented products. There's a woman I want you to picture. Let's call her Ruth. Ruth grew up in a household where cleanliness was considered next to godliness. Spotless floors, ironed linens, and when it came to her body, Ruth was meticulous. So when she began noticing changes as she moved into her 60s, she did what felt completely logical. She cleaned more thoroughly, more frequently. She reached for the lavender-scented feminine wash she had seen advertised. She used fragrant wipes throughout the day. She felt like she was doing everything right. But here's what Ruth's body was trying to tell her. The intimate area is one of the most self-sufficient parts of the entire human body. It has its own internal ecosystem, a carefully balanced community of good bacteria and natural chemistry that works around the clock to keep everything healthy and in balance. And when we wash it aggressively with soaps and perfumes and scented products, even the ones labeled gentle or feminine or pH balanced, we are not helping it. We are disrupting it. We are removing the very bacteria it needs to function. And when that balance is disturbed, the body actually produces more odor, not less. The doctor-backed recommendation is beautifully simple. Warm water on the outside, nothing inside. A fragrance-free, mild cleanser used sparingly on the external skin only if needed. That's it. No wipes, no sprays, no douches, no perfumed soaps, just water and gentleness. And for many women, simply making this one change is enough to notice a meaningful difference within just a few days. The second habit is something most of us have never thought twice about. It is reusing your bath towel too many times before washing it. Think about the last time you washed your bath towel. If you're being honest with yourself, was it last week? 2 weeks ago? Maybe longer? Most of us were taught that a towel is basically clean because we only use it after we've already washed ourselves. And on the surface, that reasoning makes sense. But here's what's actually happening inside that towel every single time you use it. When you dry yourself after a shower, your towel absorbs not just water, but also dead skin cells, natural body oils, and microscopic traces of bacteria. Then you hang it up, usually in a bathroom with limited airflow and lingering humidity. That warm, damp environment is the perfect breeding ground for bacteria and even mildew. And by the second or third use, what you are essentially doing is wiping a breeding colony of microorganisms right back across your freshly cleaned skin. This is why some women notice that even after a thorough shower, there's a subtle staleness to their skin within just a few hours. It isn't their body, it's the towel. The solution is not complicated. Wash your bath towel every 2 to 3 uses. Keep 2 or 3 rotating so you always have a clean one available. When you hang it, spread it wide and open, not bunched on a hook, so air can circulate through every layer. And if your bathroom tends to stay humid, leave the exhaust fan running for 15 to 20 minutes after your shower. These are tiny changes, but their impact on how fresh you feel throughout the day is genuinely significant. The third habit involves a part of the body that most women barely think about during their daily hygiene routine: the feet. We spend so much attention on our faces, our hair, our underarms, and our feet. Tucked away in socks and shoes for most of the day, get a quick rinse at best. But here is what doctors want every woman over 55 to understand. The feet are one of the primary sources of body odor, and as we age, they require much more intentional care than they did when we were younger. Here's why. As we get older, the skin on our feet thickens and dries out more easily. Dead skin cells accumulate faster than they shed, especially around the heels and between the toes. Our feet sweat throughout the day, shoes and socks trap that moisture, and all of that together creates a warm, dark, damp environment where bacteria and fungus absolutely thrive. The odor that results doesn't just stay on your feet. It lingers on your shoes, on your floors, and yes, in the air around you. The proper care for feet is simple but requires intention. Every time you shower, give your feet a full dedicated minute of attention. Use a soft washcloth and mild soap, and make sure to clean thoroughly between every single toe, not just a general swipe, but between each one. Once or twice a week, use a pumice stone to gently buff away the buildup on your heels and the balls of your feet. And most critically, dry your feet completely after every shower, especially between the toes. That moisture that remains between your toes is where fungal infections most commonly begin. On days when you wear closed shoes, a light sprinkle of foot powder can make a remarkable difference in controlling both moisture and odor throughout the day. The fourth habit is one that most people have never heard of, and when they learn about it, they are genuinely shocked. It is the habit of flushing the toilet with the lid open. Every single time you flush a toilet with the lid up, something happens that is completely invisible to the naked eye but has been documented extensively by scientists and public health researchers. The force of the flush creates what is called a toilet plume, a spray of microscopic water droplets that are launched upward and outward from the bowl. These droplets are not plain water. They carry bacteria and particles from whatever is in the toilet, and they travel. Research has shown that these particles can reach surfaces up to 6 feet away and remain airborne for several minutes before settling. Now think about your bathroom. How close is your toothbrush to your toilet, your hand towels, your face wash, the soap you use on your skin every morning? If you've been flushing with the lid open, which most people do, simply because no one ever told them otherwise, there is a very real possibility that invisible particles have been landing on the surfaces you touch and use every single day. The fix is the simplest one in this entire video. Close the lid before you flush. Every time. It takes zero extra effort. It costs nothing. And it transforms the hygiene of your bathroom in a way that is both scientifically significant and practically immediate. Many women who make this one change notice that their bathroom simply smells fresher within just a few days, because the invisible contamination that was building up on every surface stops the moment the lid goes down. The fifth habit is one that affects the most intimate hours of your day. It is wearing the same underwear to bed that you wore throughout the day. This one feels harmless. Many women reason exactly the way Evelyn did. I've just been sitting at home. I haven't been active. My underwear still feels perfectly clean. And they're not wrong to think that. But what the body does over the course of an ordinary day is more than most of us realize. Throughout every waking hour, your body releases small amounts of sweat, sheds microscopic skin cells, and produces natural secretions. None of it is dramatic. None of it is visible. But over 8, 10, 12 hours, all of that accumulates in the fabric pressed closest to your most sensitive skin. And when you wear that same underwear into bed, you are keeping all of that buildup in direct contact with your body for another 7 or 8 hours, in warmth, under covers, with limited airflow. For women over 55, whose skin is already more sensitive and more vulnerable to bacterial imbalance, this constant close contact can contribute meaningfully to odor and irritation over time. The solution is simply this: change into fresh underwear before bed. Choose cotton. It breathes better than any synthetic fabric. Keep it loose and comfortable. Some women find that sleeping without underwear entirely, in a loose nightgown or pajama set, feels even fresher and more comfortable, and their body responds very positively to the increased airflow. This one habit, this one small act of putting on fresh cotton underwear before bed, can noticeably change how you feel when you wake up in the morning. Fresher, lighter, more comfortable in your own skin. The sixth habit is one hiding in plain sight in almost every bathroom in the world. It is neglecting to regularly clean the bathroom trash bin. Think about everything that goes into a bathroom trash bin over the course of a week. Used tissues, cotton pads soaked in makeup remover or toner, dental floss, occasionally feminine hygiene products, even when wrapped, empty product containers. All of this sits together in a small enclosed space, usually with a lid, usually in a room that gets warm and humid throughout the day. The combination of organic matter, moisture, warmth, and darkness is essentially a perfect recipe for bacterial and mold growth. And the odor that develops in a neglected bathroom bin doesn't stay inside the bin. It seeps out gradually, quietly, until it becomes part of the ambient smell of your bathroom. And then, because we adapt to smells in our own spaces, we stop noticing it. But our guests do, and it clings subtly to towels and clothing and skin. The practice here is simple and takes almost no time at all. Empty your bathroom bin every 2 to 3 days, whether it appears full or not. Once a week, wipe the inside of the bin with a cloth dampened with white vinegar or a baking soda solution. Let it dry completely before replacing the liner. If you want a little extra freshness, place a cotton ball with 2 or 3 drops of tea tree oil or lavender oil at the very bottom of the bin beneath the liner. It deodorizes naturally, without overwhelming the space with artificial fragrance. 5 minutes a week. That is all it takes to eliminate one of the most common and most overlooked sources of bathroom odor entirely. The seventh habit is one that almost every woman who hears it immediately recognizes in herself. It is wearing a bathrobe that hasn't been washed in weeks or longer. The bathrobe is the great unexamined item in most women's hygiene routine. It feels clean. It only comes out after a shower. How could it possibly be contributing to odor? Here is how. Every time you wrap yourself in your bathrobe after a shower, your body is still releasing heat and moisture. That moisture, along with natural skin oils and microscopic dead skin cells, transfers into the fabric of the robe. If the robe is then hung on a hook in a warm, humid bathroom and used again the next day without fully drying, that moisture becomes the beginning of something unpleasant. Over days and weeks, a bathrobe that isn't washed regularly develops a musty, stale smell that can transfer right back onto clean skin the moment you put it on. This is the irony that baffles so many women. They shower thoroughly, they dry off properly, and then they wrap themselves in a robe that immediately redeposits that faint staleness right back onto their clean body. And they spend the rest of the day wondering why they don't feel as fresh as they should. The answer is beautifully simple. Wash your bathrobe once a week. If you only have one, consider getting a second so you can always have a clean one ready. After use, Hang it somewhere it can dry fully and completely, preferably somewhere with good airflow, not crammed on a hook behind the bathroom door. On warm days, hanging it near an open window does wonders. When your robe is truly clean, getting out of the shower feels different. You feel wrapped in freshness rather than carrying something stale, and that feeling stays with you for the rest of the morning. The eighth habit is one that connects directly to something women are often told is healthy and hygienic. It is shaving the underarms without properly rinsing and cleansing the area afterward. Barbara had been shaving her underarms her whole adult life. She assumed that less hair meant less odor, and for many years that felt true enough. But in her 60s, she began noticing something frustrating. Even on days she shaved, even with clinical-strength deodorant, there was a lingering odor she couldn't seem to get ahead of. She changed her deodorant 4 times. She tried natural alternatives. She cut out foods she'd read online could affect body odor. Nothing worked. Her doctor finally explained what was actually happening. Shaving is not just hair removal. The razor blade, as it moves across the skin, also lifts and disturbs a layer of dead skin cells, dried deodorant residue, bacteria, and accumulated oils that sit on the surface of the underarm. When you shave and then simply move on without rinsing the area thoroughly, all of that disturbed material remains sitting in freshly opened, slightly irritated pores. And when you apply deodorant directly on top of that without rinsing, you are sealing it in rather than washing it away. The correction is simple. After shaving, take an extra 60 seconds to rinse your underarms thoroughly with warm water. Then use a clean, soft washcloth to gently wipe the area clean. Pat dry completely before applying anything else. Give the skin 30 seconds to a minute to settle before applying deodorant. This allows the pores to close slightly and the skin to calm before anything is applied on top. Women who make this single adjustment consistently report that their underarm odor improves dramatically, not because they changed their deodorant, not because they shaved differently, but simply because they finished the process properly. Completeness is a form of care. The ninth habit moves us into territory that many women find unexpected. It is not changing your pillowcase frequently enough. You spend 7 to 9 hours every night with your face, neck, and hair pressed against your pillowcase. Throughout those hours, your skin continues its natural processes, releasing oils, shedding dead cells, producing sweat. Your hair, which has been exposed to everything from cooking smells to outdoor air to styling products throughout the day, transfers all of that to the fabric beneath your head. Over the course of a week, a pillowcase accumulates an extraordinary amount of biological material. And because the face and neck carry some of the most sensitive skin on the body, skin that is also most exposed to the air and to the people around us, the way this area smells matters profoundly to how others perceive our overall freshness. Doctors recommend changing pillowcases every 2 to 3 days. This feels excessive to many women who were raised to change bed linens weekly, but the logic becomes clear when you consider how intimate the contact is and how many hours are spent in it. If changing both pillowcases every few days feels like too much, a simple practical solution is to keep a stack of pillowcases and simply rotate the top pillow more frequently than the rest of the bedding. The difference a clean pillowcase makes to how your skin feels and smells in the morning is something most women notice within the first week of making this change. The 10th habit is one that seems counterintuitive at first. It is bathing or showering with water that is too hot. A hot shower feels wonderful, especially in colder months or when your joints are aching, or when you simply want the comfort of heat and steam surrounding you. But water that is too hot, and most women shower in water that is significantly hotter than dermatologists recommend, actually strips the skin's natural protective oils far more aggressively than warm water does. These natural oils, called sebum, form a protective barrier on the surface of the skin. They help maintain moisture, support the skin's natural bacterial balance, and play an important role in keeping the skin healthy and odor neutral. When hot water strips these oils away repeatedly, the skin overcompensates by producing more oil in response. This cycle of stripping and overproduction can actually increase the skin's susceptibility to odor-causing bacterial growth, particularly in areas where skin folds or where the body retains heat. Dermatologists recommend bathing in warm water, comfortable but not scalding. A good benchmark is water that feels pleasant the moment it touches your skin without any adjustment period. And limiting your shower to 10 to 15 minutes helps preserve the skin's natural barrier rather than fully dissolving it with prolonged heat exposure. This change is harder for many women than it sounds, because a hot shower is a genuine pleasure. But even reducing the temperature slightly and shortening the time by just a few minutes can make a meaningful difference to how the skin looks, feels, and smells over time. The 11th habit is one that women often don't associate with odor at all. It is not cleaning or replacing the shower loofah or washcloth regularly enough. The washcloth or loofah you use to clean your body every single day lives in one of the most bacteria-friendly environments imaginable. It is wet. It is warm. It is filled with dead skin cells from every use. And unless it is washed or replaced regularly, it becomes increasingly less of a cleaning tool and increasingly more of a vehicle for spreading bacteria across your skin. Studies have shown that a loofah used daily can develop significant bacterial contamination within just a few weeks. And when you scrub your body with that loofah believing you are cleaning yourself, you are actually redistributing that bacteria across every inch of skin you touch. The recommendation is straightforward. If you use a washcloth, wash it after every single use. If you use a synthetic loofah or mesh poof, replace it every 3 to 4 weeks. If you use a natural sea sponge or loofah, clean it weekly with a diluted vinegar rinse and replace it every month. And between uses, hang it somewhere outside the shower with good airflow so it can dry completely rather than sitting in residual shower moisture. Many women who switch from a loofah to a simple soft washcloth that they wash after every use report an immediate and noticeable improvement in skin freshness. It is one of those changes that seems small until you realize how much the old habit was quietly undoing everything else. The 12th habit is one that takes place outside the bathroom, but is deeply connected to what happens inside it. It is not drinking enough water throughout the day. This one surprises people, but the connection between hydration and body odor is well established in medical literature. When the body is adequately hydrated, sweat is largely composed of water, which means it evaporates quickly and carries less concentrated odor. When the body is chronically underhydrated, which is extraordinarily common in women over 55, because the sensation of thirst naturally diminishes with age, the sweat becomes more concentrated. Toxins and waste products that would normally be diluted are more present in perspiration, and the result is a stronger, more persistent body odor. Beyond sweat, dehydration also affects the mouth significantly. Saliva production decreases when we are not drinking enough water, and saliva is one of the primary mechanisms the body uses to control bacterial growth in the mouth. A dry mouth is a mouth in which odor-causing bacteria multiply rapidly. And breath odor is, of course, one of the most immediate and noticeable aspects of how we present ourselves to the world. The recommendation for women over 55 is to consume between 6 and 8 full glasses of water throughout the day, not all at once, but consistently spread across every waking hour. Herbal teas count. Water-rich fruits and vegetables count. What does not adequately count, unfortunately, is coffee or alcohol, both of which actually contribute to dehydration rather than resolving it. Carry a water bottle. Set gentle reminders if you need to. Make it a habit as automatic as brushing your teeth. Your skin, your breath, your energy, and your overall sense of freshness will all reflect the difference. The 13th habit is one that tends to develop gradually and go unnoticed until the evidence is unmistakable. It is allowing laundry, particularly underwear and towels, to sit in the washing machine after the cycle ends. Most of us have done this. The cycle finishes, something distracts us, and the wet laundry sits in the closed drum of the washing machine for an hour, or 3 hours, or overnight. By the time we move it to the dryer, it may smell faintly musty. We put it in the dryer, hoping the heat will fix it. Sometimes the smell mostly goes away, but often it doesn't fully leave, and we end up wearing underwear or drying off with towels that carry a subtle but persistent musty undertone. That smell comes from mildew, microscopic mold that begins growing on wet fabric within 1 to 2 hours at room temperature. And once that mildew smell is set into fabric fibers, it does not fully leave without rewashing, which means wearing those clothes or using those towels transfers that faint musty scent right to your skin. The simplest solution is attentiveness. Move laundry immediately when the cycle ends. If you forget and it sits too long, rewash it before drying. For front-loading washing machines, which are particularly prone to developing mildew inside the drum itself, leave the door slightly open between cycles to allow the interior to dry fully. This small discipline, this habit of not letting wet laundry sit, eliminates one of the most common and least suspected sources of that subtle, hard-to-identify musty odor that some women have spent years trying to track down. The 14th habit connects to something very personal, the products we trust and use every single day. It is using heavily fragranced body lotions and sprays to mask odor rather than addressing its source. There is a completely understandable impulse behind this habit. If you notice a smell, you want to cover it. Perfume, heavily scented lotion, fragranced body spray, these feel like solutions. And in the very short term, they are. But what happens when a strong fragrance is applied over an odor rather than in place of it is something far less pleasant than either one alone. The fragrance and the underlying odor mix together, and the result is often something that is more noticeable, more complex, and harder to identify than either would have been on its own. Beyond that, many of the synthetic fragrances used in body products are skin irritants, particularly for women with more sensitive, thinner, postmenopausal skin. They can disrupt the skin's natural bacterial balance, cause inflammation, and paradoxically worsen the very odor they are meant to disguise. The professional recommendation is to choose fragrance-free or lightly naturally scented body products whenever possible, and to apply them after thoroughly addressing the source of any odor rather than instead of doing so. If you enjoy fragrance, and there is nothing wrong with that, choose a light, high-quality natural perfume applied to clean, properly cared-for skin. Applied correctly, on a clean foundation, fragrance enhances rather than struggles. The 15th and final habit is perhaps the most important one of all, and it is one that no soap or product can fix. It is the habit of skipping or rushing through the drying process after a shower. Most women give themselves a reasonably thorough towel dry and then move on with their morning. But the places that are most prone to bacterial and fungal growth are the ones that are hardest to dry thoroughly. Under the breasts, between the thighs, in the folds of the abdomen if present, between the toes, in the creases of the groin. These are areas where skin touches skin, where air doesn't circulate well, and where even a small amount of remaining moisture provides everything bacteria and fungus need to begin multiplying. Doctors emphasize that thorough drying, not just a general wipe, but a genuine, deliberate, careful drying of every fold and crease, is one of the single most effective things a woman can do to prevent both odor and skin irritation. Use a clean, dry towel and take your time. Pay specific attention to every area where skin folds against itself. And if you are prone to moisture in certain areas throughout the day, a light dusting of unscented talc-free body powder can help maintain dryness between showers. For women who experience persistent moisture or odor in specific areas despite proper drying, it is worth having a conversation with a doctor, because sometimes what presents as an odor concern is actually an easily treatable skin condition that responds quickly and completely to proper care. Now here is what I want you to take from everything we have covered today. Not one of these habits is about carelessness. Not a single one. Every woman who struggles with the things we've discussed today is a woman who is trying, who showers and cleans and makes her best effort every single day. The issue is never effort. It is always information. And information, once you have it, changes everything. Your body is not broken. It is not failing you. It is aging. And aging requires a different kind of attention than the one we learned when we were young. It requires gentleness where we might have once been rough. It requires completeness where we might have once been quick. It requires curiosity about what is actually happening beneath the surface, rather than frustration at results we can't understand. Every single adjustment we talked about today is within your reach. Some of them cost nothing at all. Some of them take 30 seconds. Some of them simply require swapping one product for another, or adding one small step to a routine you already have. None of them require perfection. None of them require starting over. What they do require is kindness toward yourself, the willingness to look honestly at old habits and ask whether they are still serving you, and the courage to make small changes with the understanding that you deserve to feel comfortable, fresh, and confident in your own skin every single day. Not just on good days, not just on special occasions, every day. Leaner, the woman we met at the beginning of this journey, eventually figured it out. She talked to her doctor. She changed a few small things. And one morning, a few weeks later, she caught a scent, clean, simple, light, and realized with quiet joy that it was herself. Just herself. Clean and settled and at peace. That is what we are working toward. Not perfection, just peace, comfort, confidence. The feeling of being at home in your own body, no matter what age is written on the calendar. You have earned that feeling, and now you have the knowledge to find your way back to it. If something in this video resonated with you today, if even one of these habits made you pause and think, yes, that's me, please take a moment and comment the number 1 below. It tells me that this conversation was worth having, and it helps me know what to bring you next. And if you have a sister, a friend, a neighbor, a woman in your life who might need to hear this today, share this with her. Not because anything is wrong with her, but because every woman deserves to feel this informed, this seen, and this cared for. Thank you for being here. Thank you for trusting this space. You are not alone, you never were, and you are doing far better than you know.